Hey people, welcome to another episode. Today's guest is someone who I first met at the Speech Master. Let me tell you how I got introduced to her. So, right after the prepared speech, I was seated waiting for the impromptu round to begin. At the same time, my mind voice was saying, how long is it gonna take? I just wanna go home. And I turned back. She's like, tell them to finish, will you, man? They're gonna take all day. I wanna go home. And that's when I realized, okay, we're on the same page. And now, for the formal introduction, she is a public speaker, a Toastmaster, an Isaacer, and that's all I know about her. Let's get to know more about her in the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you are on Fish Talks, where we dream big. And today, you're meeting Senaya.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to our podcast. How are
Thank you.
you?
Yeah, good, good. I just want to add something with the first introduction I had about you.
Okay.
So the Thai is like here and he's sleeping. It's finals, one of the biggest stages for public speaking, and this man is sleeping. A good sleep you were having, and I asked you, "How are you?" I was like, "I'm having a day." And that was the most, and he proceeds to win the whole thing. So that was my first impression about you.
That sounds so cool. I'm gonna put it in my bio. So nonchalant.
And yeah, and this person just goes around and just wins the whole thing. So kudos to you.
Thank you for that introduction. I didn't expect that from you. Now, tell us something that we don't know about you.
Oh. Um, I am someone who has a lot of energy. You will either love me for it or either you will hate me for it. You're like, oh my god, why this girl has so much energy and has no filter. So yeah, I'm just that person. I think with your introduction also you could see, right? So
So, Senaya, why public speaking? Toastmaster, Isaac, public speaking. Your life looks more like a life of an extroverted stage person.
yes.
Why and how?
Oh, so a big part of my personality comes with my parents. So both of them are lawyers, but my father is an extreme extrovert and my mother is an extreme introvert. So I'm kind of in the middle of it. Yeah,
Okay.
I was always the child who had to balance both of them. My mom hates speaking in front of people, but I kind of feel I had that personality clash when I was a child.
Mm.
I was talkative. I was very talkative. I would go on and on and on. I was the child who performed in front of the relatives. I was that child. And I think my mom saw it in a way. Okay, she is good. And I should be very thankful to my school because uh, it gave me so many opportunities and I grabbed them in the right time.
Mm.
And it was 2017 when I started public speaking. It was from Gavel Club. And my mom was the one who pushed me. She was like, go do it. I was, even though I was talkative, I was afraid of the stage.
Mm.
You would say, okay, I was talkative. So I would go from the first meeting and I would go, okay, give me an impromptu speech. I will do it. No, I was not that kid. I would sit back and, observe the whole thing and not speak any words. And, around a month went.
Mm.
And, always the VP dudes, they're like, okay, do one. So I was like, okay, I'll do one. And that first step was the step I took for public speaking. And here I am at 2025 still doing it
In a podcast.
in a podcast. Oh my God.
So 2017 was first when you started.
Yes, I was in grade 9. That was the first step. Because from grade 9 only, until grade 9, you have debating. After that only, you can go for the Gavel Cup. So
Mm.
until then, I was an athlete. I was a hockey player. There's always this myth there. Okay, if you're an athlete, you can't do clubs.
Really?
Yeah, that's always two types of girls in girls' schools. There's the athletes, there's the club people. They don't always mingle. And I was in the middle.
Where are the people who actually study Commander?
Um,
Not any club.
in the clubs, let's say, all
Oh, okay.
the nerdy people always goes in the clubs. But also, I'm not saying that the sports people does not study. I was a nerd. I was in the middle, so I was like, okay, should I concentrate on hockey or should I do the clubs? But after a while, Gavel Club actually was like a safe place.
Mm.
Like I could go and talk about so many other stuff that I was holding on to, like the mental well-being and all of those topics that I had in mind that I could not discuss with my hockey friends. So that way, I felt like I was doing both. I was two different people at two different places.
Mm.
So yeah.
I want to go back to a point you mentioned you grabbed every opportunity that came your way. Were the opportunities provided to you in a golden plate? Or did you jump and grab it?
Oh, good question. I want to say, I made it my way. So an opportunity
What's your
was
way?
provided for me. So I said there were debaters,
Mm.
and that they were the people who were Gaveliers, right? They were like changed. So in my space of Gavel Club, I saw there were people who had so many big topics to talk about, like politics, the women health, everything. And yeah, I was a humorous speaker. I think you know I'm a very funny girl. I really want to talk so many things about humorous speaking, and there was no space for that.
Mm.
And I saw that. I felt like, okay, I would just go and speak about this, and we will see how it goes. There was no humorous speaking at that moment in my school, and also especially a girl doing a lot of Shah Rukh Khan moves, and I think I did one of I knelt some and like throw the rose to the audience to find my man. It was a speech like that, so it was all out there. So the opportunity was given to me, but not in a golden plate. And in those opportunities, I found a way to make it my own way and kind of look into the gaps and kind of create my own story along the way. So yeah, I was doubted a lot because as like for a 14-year-old girl, the main thing was like identity crisis, right? Am I a hockey player? Am I a speaker? Am I what am I? But I was doing both, and I was so different in both of those. At hockey, I was so loud, and I was like the strategist. I would go shout at umpires. I was a mad person, but during Gavel, I was someone else. I was so keen to learn, and I was soft spoken. I don't know what happened to me, but I was trying to balance both of that, and I think I'm balancing both of it now.
I think, do you have that finding a man in all of the speeches you made? So if that started in grade 9, it ended in speech master. You found a man finally.
Yes. Yes, yes, I was single for most of my life.
Like 8 years,
For
found my Shah Rukh Khan.
Shah Rukh Khan, I found recently we started dating. Well, I mean, I knew the guy from 2018 around, and I started dating around this year. So now I have to find new things to
Nice.
speak about. Like okay,
New things.
now like
Come.
I've been talking all about like finding my man. The difference about my speeches that I did was like I always say I'm single. I'm still looking for love. That's the part about me. That's
That's
the
something you can joke about and it's
yeah.
actually funny.
Yeah, and also you can kind of interact with the audience with that. But now since I'm dating,
It's not funny
it's
anymore.
not funny anymore.
Serious.
It's serious.
Go on.
So I'm now writing new content and like I'm trying to find a new way to somehow incorporate my love life and all because my boyfriend he comes to watch my speeches and I can't say I'm single anymore. So I'm trying to balance it out. But yeah. But I don't only talk about those stuff. I have some good other content as well.
How do you prepare your speeches? How do you come up with the topics?
Okay. So what I do is I journal a lot. I live in my story. I am always the main character. I have told you like I love Bollywood films. I watch so many movies, and I kind of think that okay, this is my story. And when something happens, I have this speech book that
Mm.
is a mess. It has everything, every thought.
Is it
If
like a diary you
Yes,
maintain?
yes. It's a diary. It's not like I don't put a date and like write speeches. I write speech ideas. So my speech master speech was a combination of three speeches I gave.
Mm.
So the three stories, but three things. Like the first story I had was about how I was so devastated that I got into University of Rohini.
Mm.
That was a detour in my life. And that was a whole speech. It was a 5 to 7 speech that I took only
Okay.
that story.
Yeah, that small
A
part
small
of yes.
part. So the Shah Rukh Khan story was something else. It was division level. I went to, yeah, no, I went to area and then division with a humorous speech, and that was my humorous speech. Finding my Shah Rukh Khan.
Okay.
That was a whole speech, and the third one I actually added in the during the speech
Mm.
masters. So those were kind of snippets of my speeches. So I always make sure that I maintain content, and most of the time it's just light bulb. You don't always go, okay, now I have to write a speech and 5 minutes, 5 minutes pass, you just write a speech. It doesn't happen that way. It's a process. So in order for you to, if you want to like kind of write a content next week,
Mm.
you have to go, if you go back and look at your little snippets, you get that light bulb moment. So suddenly you're like, okay, tomorrow I have a big speech. You can't sit down and write a speech. But if you look at those little contents, you get that light bulb moment. Okay, I lived in this. This is a story. So turn your life moments into stories, and live your Kajal life. That's how I make
Okay.
speeches.
I think that's really valuable because I do coaching and most of the learners say I don't have stories. The topic could be simple as respecting my father or respecting my mother, and they'll be like, I don't have a story.
Yeah,
Uh, Kids, let alone the kids, the adults say they don't have stories. And the best way to do is journaling it.
yeah,
I don't think I would have the discipline to go and write it in a book, but the least thing you could do is at least record it in your
yeah,
WhatsApp notes or type it on your notes.
yeah,
So that way, when you have something, visit there, get the notes, and talk about it.
yeah. So I'm someone who writes everything. So
Yes, mostly are into writing.
Uh,
Yes,
yeah, no, yeah. Even for notes, I have so many notes at my, university. I write every little detail. So even speeches, I've never typed a speech in my life. Never,
really.
never. Even
Still you type, still you write
I
actually.
still
Okay.
write. I have so many versions of my speeches written again and again. So when I write only, I feel like, okay, this is my story. I'm writing it. Because speeches, I never say anything that I'm not feeling. So
Mm,
I don't want to, like, okay, let's say the University of Runa thing. I don't want to motivate people and say that detour, I was so happy that I got into university. No, I was devastated at that moment.
mm,
And I want to say it in my story. I want to be true to myself. And those journal entries that I wrote really was in that moment. So when you revisit that emotion, and that way you can tell your story in a way. So yeah,
true.
yeah,
I agree with it. So I think you had explained about the Ruhunu moment because I'm aware of it,
yeah.
but the people watching be like, "Oh, what, what's
What?
about the Ruhunu?"
Okay, so
I think a small brief would be enough.
small brief, yes. Okay, so I was doing A levels. I did business statistics, econ, and accounts. I didn't have a big motivation to go to university. That was not a big goal. I was like, okay, I'm going to do something like a professional qualification, and I would work. That was my whole thing. And I thought, okay, my parents were financially stable to kind of provide me with the opportunity. But during corona, we had a small issue at home, and we were not financially stable, and I saw that.
Mm,
Okay, if I got into uni, my sister and my brother would have like an opportunity to kind of have the choice. So I need to do this seriously. And that kind of epiphany moment was like, okay, I need to get into university somehow. And it was like halfway mark of the like the A levels, and it was like during Corona as well. And I had stopped hockey. I was like so devastated because I'm always like an outdoorsy, energetic person, and you put me in my house 24/7. I'm not doing well. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I did. I worked so hard. I worked around 15 hours per day. It was so like I worked so hard, and finally I got results,
mm,
and I had a 1.62 EZ score. That is a good score to go into a university. But unfortunately, it was 0.05 shy to Kalaniya. So the next one I had was Ruhuna. Ruhuna is at Matara now.
mm.
So now I have to travel like around 160 kilometers away from my home, and I have to stay in another place. Like, who's gonna cook for me? Like, who's gonna wake me up? I was so scared, as a girl, I'm very close to my family. I'm very close. So I had to now travel, and that moment was very, very, very eye opening. And now I have been, it was 2024 April-ish. Now it's 2025, August.
August.
It's so good. It was like the best decision, I think, because I found my Shah Rukh Khan, number one. Also, like I learned a lot of things visiting that university, and I'm loving it so far. So yeah, so that's the whole story of University of Rohun. I was devastated at some point, but after 1 year, I look back. It's the best decision.
Mm,
So yeah,
interesting. What do you think is the most important element of public speaking?
being authentic.
Mm,
Because you talk so much. We like okay, as someone who from the audience, I I don't want to be motivated every time. If I want to be motivated, I
motivated or motivate?
motivated by someone
Okay.
like who's speaking on the stage, right? I want to be relatably like the advice be like salted
Mm,
on, like
yes.
it should not be punchy. So when you're authentic, you give the advice from your heart. You have to be relatable. So in my opinion is when we look at public speaking, we look at like a big thing. Okay, we have to go in front of a stage, we have to talk this and this big topics. No, if you just talk about your family having dinner and a simple story you had while with your father and mother, just your mom and dad's love story. If you don't know your mom and dad's love story, if they have a love story, it's bad. Because I have done so many speeches and I've won so many competitions with just my mom and dad's love story. It's an authentic love story. Like I was so mesmerized by it, and I put my own spin on it. And also, in my idea, public speaking is all about authenticity, like how you feel at that moment.
Mm,
And you have to be, of course, you have to structure it and in a well, all those body language, eye contact, everything should be there. But at the core, it should be authentic.
mm.
It should be you. It should be like what happened at that moment and that emotion you felt. That is all about public speaking.
Don't use ChatGPT at all
I do, but to refine. But I have never used ChatGPT. I have used it, but I have written a speech. I've looked at ChatGPT and kind of refined it, but I never used those words that ChatGPT
because you
uses.
go to ChatGPT the last minute, I think.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And then I feel okay, this is too robotic, and then I go back to my own words. I tried to use it, but it doesn't work. I don't know
Mm,
whether because the way I think, but it doesn't work.
true.
Yeah.
If you already have an idea in your head, because even I do that, like 2 days before the speech is about to happen, I go on ChatGPT, I get all the big, big words, big, big ideas, philosophies,
Yeah.
and I memorize it also. I'm like properly ready. On the stage, I don't even use it. I don't even tell one sentence from it. I just tell something totally opposite to that. I come back
Yes, yes, yes.
because reason number one, I think we go last minute. Reason number two, when we already have an idea in head that's so close to our heart, we can, like you said, we can relate to it and
Yeah,
it's authentic.
yeah,
Something outside feels like okay, it's outsider,
yeah,
robotic, and you just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
your mind itself says get out.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what happens.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, ChatGPT is a tool, right? It is a tool that will refine your work. It shouldn't be a tool that will do the work for you. That is where creativity dies for me. Like, if you go
Very well
and
said.
just type, like, give me a speech, that that speech is not going to win hearts. That speech is not going to take you anywhere. Like if you want to refine it, if you want, okay, you want a day in a life, like a daily workout or something, go ask ChatGPT. It's fine. You want to perfect your grammar, like a well written essay, you want to perfect your grammar, go ask ChatGPT. But don't go and ask, write this for me,
Mm,
because ChatGPT will write a normal thing that is out there, and that is not you. Again, the root of being authentic. We lose ourselves. I don't see a lot of with the chat gpt. The main thing I see is like we have lost ourselves, like
Just
we have
ourselves.
lost our authenticity. Like we're trying to be in this box of chat gpt that the chat gpt created, and we are going to be in that box. So that is not, you have to be human. That's the beauty of being a human, right? So
True.
yeah, that's my opinion about chat gpt.
When I Very well said, firstly. I think the summary of it is be authentic. Even a simple story can be told in a very beautiful way if it's authentic. And don't punch people, just sprinkle it.
Yeah,
Because anyway, a speech is about giving an impact. You need to make people do an action.
yeah,
Could be any action, but they should do something.
yeah,
That's the entire purpose of you being on stage. But don't make it too punchy, make it a little bit cool,
yeah,
relatable, and then make them do action.
yeah,
The next thing, don't use ChatGPT for getting the entire thing. It kills creativity.
yeah.
Provide your ideas, refine it using ChatGPT. Now, talking of ChatGPT, we at least had a childhood without ChatGPT. What do you think the upcoming generation is missing out
Oh my.
due to this AI and
Yeah.
distraction?
So, I have a brother who's 8 years old, 8 years younger than me, right? So the childhoods we had are so different, like two different things. And I can see the evolvement, like the way I speak and the way he speaks, especially to outsiders. I don't know whether he's a teenager and because he's a boy, but I used to handle a lot of things way better at his age because he's now at the point where when I started Gavel. So he's in grade 9. So that's when I started Gavel. That's when I started truly like finding myself, talking to people and, looking at this new public speaking persona now I'm developing. So now he comes from a place where, and also Corona, that period changed us in so many ways. And I was fortunate enough that during Corona, I was around 16, 17. I was in an age where I was not going to be manipulated by technology. Like, I could be without my phone for a long time, like for around like 2 to 3 hours. Like, if I don't have my phone, it's okay. Like, I could be. But my sister and my brother, they cannot. They want their phones every time. And their attention span is so low. They don't listen. Like I am someone who I mentioned that I talk a lot, right? But I learn so many things with listening.
Mm.
So I think because I love stories so much, I want to listen to each and every one stories. If you ask me, I can tell you all the stories that were on the Speechmaster finals. I can remember everything. There
Really?
was the candle story, the kids ones. There was the candle story. There was the dog story. There was about the childhood, and so many like the stories I could remember because I listened so
Mm.
carefully. And I looked around, and there were so many people on phones even during a speech.
Yes.
Yeah, even during a speech. And that is what ChatGPT did to us. We have so many ChatGPT and all the technology that did to us. We don't listen enough. We are so span of listening has gone so low. Like even at university, like in lectures, people don't listen. Like they just go for attendance. Like I don't know whether I would sound like a nerd, but there's so many things you could learn by just listening.
Mm.
And also, like I get a lot of questions like the lecturer would say, okay, you get this question, this question, this question. These are the things you get. Okay. I just quickly jot down. I'm a writer. We have established that. So I write everything down. And the people who are present there, like, we were not listening. Like, then why would you waste your time? Just go and do something else, right? So we don't intend to listen.
Mm.
We don't do that anymore. So I've seen that shift. Even people in my age, like, so yeah, I think that,
Think listening that's connected to attention span deficiency,
yeah,
and that is resulted due to the phone, social media,
yeah, yeah,
especially the short form content. People can't even watch a movie now.
Yeah.
They get
Like
distracted.
during you watch a movie and then you're scrolling on TikTok while watching the movie.
I recently saw a reel, again, a short form content. It said,
Yeah. Yeah.
the Netflix loading time, the letter N comes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then in that gap, people get distracted and they're going to sticks too long. Let me go and check. I'm going to show you a video. I want you to watch the video and share whatever comes to your mind. I hope you haven't watched this video. You want to take and watch it?
Yes.
Genesis 1, verse 1. In the beginning, in the in the beginning, yeah, in the in uh, in the
Listen properly.
in the beginning, yeah, in the beginning, in the beginning, in the in the beginning.
Oh my God. What happens
In
when
it,
you
the
write
beginning.
your speech on ChatGPT and you try to read out that speech in front of a podium? That's what happens. But what was like he's trying to
Say, in the beginning.
in the beginning he's trying to read out that, right? I mean, language issues.
My take on that is there's two ways you could have handled it. Number one, you should have practiced. Like Big Shot, give me the paper. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the people on the stage are like very seriously doing some serious work. Okay.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar with I know this. He's so confident, even okay, I'm going to get this word correct somehow. It's like, I'm going to get this correct.
Tried for 20 seconds and still
Yeah,
failed.
the video was 36 seconds. Yeah, just imagine you. Right. That's one fourth of impromptu speech.
Yes. So one way he could have handled that better is practice.
Yeah.
Or the other option is use alternatives. Because I have had learners who had difficulty pronouncing certain letters. They can't pronounce T, they can't pronounce S. Even I had the difficulty when I was there, I can't pronounce S.
Mhm.
So I avoid it as much as possible. You can't avoid it on 100%,
Yeah.
but in a podium, in a stage like that, you can
Yeah.
definitely avoid it,
Yeah.
especially with a script,
Yeah.
like to start off with
Yeah.
instead of in the beginning. That's the option. If you have difficulty pronouncing certain letters or certain words or certain areas, avoid it. There are enough alternatives for you to do or practice it.
Um, to add to that, something I do is like in my early days of public speaking, I was so scared of what people would think of me. So I don't know what happened. I made myself talk like a British person. Like I had this so bad like an accent. I don't know where it came from. But I was like, I used to like, good morning, everybody. I was so bad. And actually, like a friend of mine told me was voice record your own self. And I like that is the one folder in my phone that I would not let anybody see because it's so bad. But it has all of those unfiltered moments of my speech, like I'm trying to voice record myself. So when I voice record, and you have to be your own judge. Your first judge is always you. So when you voice record it, so I write my speeches.
Mm,
That was established. So I keep my voice record and like my speech side by side, and I like circle the letters that I mispronounce. I kind of highlight them. And when you the way the highlight theory works is like I scan the image in my mind, right? And those highlight words kind of pop in.
mm,
So when I speak, I take extra precaution to kind of say that word correctly, because English is our second language, right? So most people it's the third,
yeah.
and we learn English from someone, right? We are not like our mom and dad is like, how's the day? Like, when we have like evening tea,
Choti
let's talk
mannequin.
in English. Today the day was good. They don't speak in English. That I even my parents are always, but we don't talk in English at all. So we learned English from someone else, like from my teachers were Friends, like Friends TV show. That's how I learned a lot of
Oh,
English.
okay.
Like I watched it with subtitles and all of that. And I read a lot of books. I read a lot of so I read a lot. So that's how I learn, right? And we learn English. So we have to be mindful that okay, if we don't know something, we have to at that moment itself, we have to ask maybe someone else.
Mm. I know it's all over the place because I want to get the draft of how you prepare for a speech. So initially you mentioned you journal a lot, journal every part of your life, and then when you get an event or a competition, you go back to your journals and get a few stories, put it in a speech, and then the next step you record it, and then you get the transcript of it, highlight it, listen to it. I think that's only 50% of it, like the initial preparation.
Yeah.
The final touch up and everything will come later.
Yes.
I want to know the entire planning of the preparation behind a winning speech.
Okay. So the next thing that I do is the first draft always comes to 15 to 20 minutes, right? You talk a lot of things.
Yes.
So in my voice memo only, I get to realize, okay, this is how much I go far.
Mm.
So now I mentioned that I write everything, right? So
Yes.
I write around 10 pages to 12 pages the first speech. So next step is I take a big A3 paper and I box my speech. So in the way of boxing is my stories are always three parts. Either I use three stories or three my story cut into three because I have watched so many Toastmasters, international speeches. I learn through listening, right? So I have identified that if you use the stage in a three-part way, you can grab your audience.
Mm.
And that is like a good structure. So I will always make sure that it's either three things. So in my A3, there's intro.
Mm.
I take only 30 seconds for that intro. That is like the one you say before Dear Toastmasters or
Yes.
Dear, the catchy part,
Mm.
30 seconds. Do not take more than that. Then you
What
say,
happens if
oh,
you take more than 30 seconds or less than
um,
30 seconds?
it less than is okay.
Okay.
It depends on how catchy it is, right? So there are types of intros you can use. You can use a question.
Mm.
You can use a joke. And you can use like a poetic way to start. A lot of the ways I start is like a poetic beginning because my speeches are so active and they're so all over the place. In the middle, it just have a place to like begin. So I want to start like this. If you can start like this, you can start here. Anything. So some people go to the intro after you make the speech
Mm.
to kind of the point you get is after you write the speech only you
Yes.
kind of go back to the intro. So those are the methods you can use. But for me, I just box it out. If I have an intro in my mind, I will write it down.
Mm.
But I always make sure that it's restricted to 30 seconds because if I don't restrict it to 30 seconds, I don't have enough time to put
Yes.
my stories in place because as I mentioned, I take a lot of pride in my stories because those are all very authentic, very like things that really happen to me and I want to convey that emotion.
Mm.
If I rush it, that emotion is not going to be conveyed. So I make sure that my stories I have perfect amount of time. So 1 minute is what I take for my stories. So one, that's 30 seconds. And I use like in front of the story, before the story, you always need like a beginning to your story, right? Like this is what I'm going to talk about. So I take 30 seconds for that, maybe 15 to 20ish. And then after each story, there should be a conclusion. Why I told that story.
After
Like,
each story.
yeah,
Okay.
I make sure that there's like a small, like a line or two to kind of wrap together that story, right? Like what I learned from that story. And then there's the final big
Mm.
conclusion. That big conclusion also, you have to structure it properly. You can't say everything that is on your mind. That is the part where I sprinkle the salt. So you can't just punch it right through. You can't go and say, okay, this is the way. Usually, that conclusion is like an epiphany moment, right? You ask maybe your something I really sorry. something I realized is that um people do in that conclusion, people ask like, do this dramatic thing where you ask your parent and your parent says this advice, this big advice, and or like a book quote that you thought. That does not happen in real life, right? And if, as an audience member, I feel like it is not true, your whole story will fail, right? That is the part where you have to be relatable. So in my story, that conclusion, I asked my mom about, okay, in my speech master speech, I asked it was about, okay, I'll be like quick, it was about figuring out my 20s, right? I was so lost, I was taking detours, and my planned life was not happening. And I asked my mom, what I'm supposed to do, and she says, even I don't know. That is like a very, because it was true,
True.
she said that to me. So that was, and that gave, got like the audience into me. so that conclusion should be very relatable. So for your conclusion, don't take more than 1.5 minutes
For conclusion.
for the
Mm,
conclusion, because conclusion also should leave you thinking. Like,
mm,
you should give everything away. You should always make sure that the audience has some space to think as well. So yeah, that is the structure that I use. It depends on, like, with you, if you're not really good at, again, you have to be true to yourself. So I know my strength is storytelling, so I make sure that my speeches are packed with stories.
mm.
But if you are not a good storyteller, if you're someone who's like good with facts and stuff, you can increase your intro and your conclusion. If you're really good at, if you're someone who's like, who has like a really nice voice, who's like poetic, you can use that strength. You can, because public speaking is not about these big dramatic things you do on stage. You don't have to like do like, Shah Rukh Khan moves every time you give a speech, right? This, you should be just you,
True.
and you have to make sure that you use your strength in the best way possible, but you have to be within your time, and you have to use those 7 minutes. I would advise you 6:30, because it will be 7 when you walk around and do all of that. But make sure that you stay on that structure, because if you go beyond a lot, it will affect it.
True.
And I think I lost to you. I got second place is because my conclusion, I didn't make it right. Like, my conclusion was not punchy enough. Like, I didn't, the salt was better. Uh, I felt that was the uh, thing. So, I have a question for you about speech master.
Okay.
Did you think that you'll win when we were like the top three were on the stage?
When the top three were on the stage,
Yeah,
you want me to say the truth or lie?
please.
Yeah, there's always this thing on when I'm on stage, it's not about whether I'm going to win or not. It's about my mindset is like I'm the best,
Mhm.
even if I'm not the best.
Delulu
Yeah,
is the
I
truth.
live in that world. Ronaldo took me there.
Uh,
So when I'm performing, let's say you perform like 200% better than me. Even I know that,
really?
let's say.
Uh-huh.
But I would tell myself I'm the best,
Uh-huh.
even when I know I'm not the best. I could not be the best, but I'm the best in my
Mhm.
mind. So in that perspective, yeah, I thought I would win.
Mhm. Nice. Nice. So we get a lot of
What was running in your mind? I'm curious to know.
I knew you would win, because, yeah, because I lacked in my conclusion. Like, my last part, I didn't do well. So I knew either, like, I'm someone, this is gonna be controversial, but I lack a lot of confidence. And I feel like if I say like I'm going to win this thing, that will be like bad luck. Like, it'll be like, okay, I'm going to like, I've cursed myself, like a how to say, like, when you like, you have you heard about the commentator's curse? Like, when you watch a match, right? The commentators say, okay, he's bowling well, he's doing good, and the next one he bowls like a wild over, right? So it's called commentators curse. So if you say you're doing good and you're doing this, I feel like that will come back to me in a wrong way. So I do think I am in your mindset as well. Like, okay, I am doing my best. I will do this. I am the best, but I don't want to say I will win.
Mm. Yeah,
So
you can't say that.
I'm like, I'm going to win. I'm the best. I don't want to say that to
Even
me.
I don't say, you can't say that technically
Yeah, yeah,
because that's not in your control.
yeah, yeah,
But if you say I'm the best, your performance is in your control. How
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
output your this thing.
yeah,
Whatever comes after that is out of your control and
yeah,
accept
yeah,
whatever comes your way.
yeah, yeah. I think one thing that happened to me that day was the audience was laughing too much. I don't know, like they were like some of the jokes I didn't intend it to be jokes. They were just straight up facts, and people were laughing for them as well.
That was a good audience.
Why are you laughing? That is not a joke. And I was like, I was feeding that, like I was in with that energy, and I was going on with the jokes that I had in my like not in my last draft. Like I had a joke that was like in my mind. I was like, okay, I'll tell this as well because there's so much audience. I was like doing stand-up comedy at that point. So that is what I went wrong. I didn't focus on that speech. I felt like on
Mm.
the performance, like on that day, and the conclusion was not punchy enough. Like it was not where I intended to. Where I intended to be.
So you,
So
was it the conclusion that you planned or you changed it on stage?
I stay change it on stage.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess that was in my mind. Even when I got on stage, like top three, also I was like, I'm not sure because the conclusion was not. So yeah, I think that was it.
One of the ways I get feedback for my speech is from the audience reaction
Yeah.
because I have seen audience, even if you tell a proper joke, they would have a straight face. They would be like plum puddings.
Yeah. I hate that kind of
Exactly. So
audience.
I've delivered speeches to that audience as well, and it's horrible.
Horrible.
But on that day, the speech master audience, you tell a
Well,
lame joke.
they will laugh because I think it was like uni students and all the parents and all. They were like
True.
a monotonous audience, like a fun audience. So
Mm.
yeah,
So audience feedback plays a major role in the speech,
it
how it
does.
comes out.
It does.
Interesting. I want to make special mention of this of how you said don't conclude by telling everything you have in your mind. Let the audience think. That point is really important to know because we always focus on giving that monk like Jay Shetty moment. So everything we have, live with wisdom. No,
Yeah.
you shouldn't do that. Yeah.
No, no, no. You should not. Um, always leave with a question. Like, make sure that your audience feel like, oh, I need to think about my life in this way too. If your audience feels like that, you've succeeded.
I think you did that to me in this podcast because I'm having a lot of moments to go back and revisit your speech structure, the conclusion parts, and a lot of moments. I'm sure the audience also will have those moments.
I hope so.
You also.
I hope it's not all gibberish and people will be like, I learned something.
It was good. It was inspiring, informative, entertaining, all in one. I
Nice.
have a final question for you, and this is not going to be a punch.
Yeah.
What's something that you learned the hard way?
You have to get up on that stage. Otherwise, you will never know.
Okay.
Uh,
Can't sit back and
you
learn or be
no,
a speaker.
you have to speak up, even if it's just repeating the topic. You have to get up on that stage because you can watch so many videos, you can read so many books, you can watch so many podcasts, you can do Jay Shetty, you can that, like anything you can do. But if you don't take action, if you don't stand up and speak, you can never learn. You have to do it in either capacity. Judgments aside, you have to find your safe space to do that. Even if it's your home club, your school club, or anything. If you want to speak up, if you want to improve yourself, you have to start doing it. If you don't stand up and speak, you cannot do it.
All right. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming for our podcast. I'm sure there's a lot to learn from this podcast for our learners at Pufferfish and other guests as well. I'll see you soon in the next episode. Do you have anything to say?
No,
You were about to
just
say something.
yeah, no, I was just gonna thank you so much. I hope people learn from my gibberish. I know, I don't know whether people will learn or not, but it was true. It was things that I really felt. There was no notebook or anything. I was just things that I felt from my heart and things that I had to really go through. So I hope you learn something from my story and you write your own story as well someday.
Yes, authentic.
Authentic.
Authentic it is. All right, people. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.